I needed to see somebody try not to die, but also like laugh about it.
Oh, my chest just did a weird thing. Okay.
The angst. I love it.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Reading Queens podcast. We are here to talk about sci-fi books. Yay!
Woohoo! Books in space!
Abby's here. Can you guys tell?
I'm so excited. This is going to be my favorite episode ever.
Yes. So, hi, I'm Valia. I am your host or whatever, and two ladies are here. So say hello.
Hello, I'm Abby, if you can't tell. Hi.
And I'm Joanna.
Yes, and we're here to talk about books like we do. But I really like these very specific genre conversations, and then having somebody who loves the genre.
Yeah,
which is Abby.
Me. That's
like
me.
Abby.
I got that covered.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this talk. But I do want to hear about you guys' Thanksgiving. So tell me if you guys celebrated. What did you do? Anything exciting happen? What was your favorite dish to eat?
Well, we were Thanksgiving rebels this year. So my husband and I ditched our family for the whole week, and we actually went down to Colorado Springs, which is about an hour from me. And we solved murder mysteries in a box, which Valia, I think you would love. So,
that's cool.
The Hunt a Killer ones. I bought some, and oh my gosh, they're so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we went to the zoo, and I did not eat any Thanksgiving food. I had we went to this fancy schmancy restaurant, and I had the 5-course chef tasting meal. So it was everything except turkey. I had duck. Who eats duck? But it was really great.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to do one of those box things, but I'm like,
oh
do I
my
just
gosh,
do it by myself?
Okay. It's fun by yourself, but it's also fun with a friend or whatever. So we've done a couple now, and so it was just him and me, and then a guy friend of ours, and it took us twice as long as they say it does. But and also both of them are more kind of engineer minded, so they take all the notes and stuff, and and I'm kind of the details will pop out because I know enough murder things. I know the stuff that's relevant. But they're fun. Cute. They're fun. You would really love it.
Oh, fine. Maybe I'll make my parents do it with me. I would really actually pay money to see my dad and my mom trying to solve a murder mystery. Anyway, okay. Joanna, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. We went to my parents' house. My poor daughter came down with a cold that day.
Ooh.
And my parents were leaving. They left the country just yesterday. So they didn't want anyone to come over that was sick. So she had to stay home. So she was kind of bummed out. But we see them all the time because they live really close to us. So
that's nice.
Yeah, we'll make it up to her.
Do you guys do all the Thanksgiving food stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it an every year, this has to be that way type thing?
I mean, yeah, we switch off between my family and my husband's family. But yeah, it's always, the turkey and but we hadn't been with my family since 2018 because of the pandemic, and just the way the turns fell, that was the last time we were actually with them.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it was kind of fun. It was my birthday before that.
Yes.
So I had to bring that up because I did a double cover reveal that I'm super excited about.
I didn't realize that was for your birthday. That's awesome.
It was for my birthday. Yes, it was fun.
That's cool. No, I was going to say, did you do anything special for your birthday?
I did a double cover reveal.
That's it? I know that was special.
No, I did. My husband took me to lunch because he had to work, but he had to work the really late shift. So he took me to lunch while the kids were in school, and then I spent an hour by myself in the used bookstore.
Aww.
And it was
that's
heaven.
Cool. That's cool.
And I came home with a huge stack of books because
As one
it was
should.
my birthday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good.
Awesome.
It was good.
That's great. Cool. I was just gonna say I've always wanted to host Thanksgiving, but I always get voted down every year because this is my thing. So when I host Thanksgiving, we're not doing the traditional stuff. We're going to do pizza and pies. So everyone brings a pie and everyone makes their own pizza. And it's pizza and pies. And every year my sister votes me down because she wants the whole,
she wants the traditional
and I'm like, why?
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is, I guess, comfort in the traditional, kind of thing. But it's funny, though, because my mom has worked like every Thanksgiving for, I don't know, like the last 10 years, right? Like they always have her do a shift at the hospital. And so my dad and I have spent, since I've been home, like the last Thanksgiving's just the two of us, right? And our Thanksgiving is pizza.
That's awesome. Oh, that's my ideal right there.
Yeah, so we would always just like order something and we'll like, sit on the couch and like watch a bunch of movies and stuff like that. And it's usually like Star Trek and whatever.
Yes.
Like, it's very
Thanksgiving.
yeah, come over. So, but this year my mom had off, right? And so we're like, oh, we're not doing pizza and Thanksgiving because my mom's like, I can actually cook, but we don't do turkey. We do ham. We did turkey when my brothers were home, but now we just do ham because we just like it better. And so they're like made the cheese potatoes and she made my favorite Russian salad and I was sick. So I like literally just laid on the couch and I'm like, my mom's making food. I'm so happy. But we had pizza the night before. That's what we did is we had pizza and wings to like still be like, this is our Thanksgiving tradition. That's hilarious to me, honestly.
No, I'm gonna crash your Thanksgiving some year. I'm just gonna show up, be like, I'm here.
Do it.
Time to pull out the Star Trek.
Yeah. We're like, it's funny because my dad and I have this thing where it's like we can't decide on what to watch, but we still want to, because his love language is quality time 100%. And so I will just like come out and I'll be like reading and just sit with him while he's watching one of his shows. And that's what my mom does too. If she's like studying and stuff, she'll just sit out there. Because it's just like, it just makes him happy. So when my dad and I can't decide on what to watch and I like want to just do like some art, we're always like, okay, I guess Star Trek it is. So we'll just like rewatch it over and over again.
I love that.
Yeah, because it's a thing. So this is actually perfect segue into
sci-fi.
Segue.
All right. Shall I go first then with some books? Okay. So I actually have two books I'm talking about. These Broken Stars, that trilogy by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, and then The Martian, which if you haven't seen the movie, you have to watch The Martian, which I just like really recently reread because I needed something like snarky and funny. I needed to see somebody try not to die, but also like laugh about it.
Yeah.
Which I feel like The Martian was that. And also Project Hail Mary, which... same author, so guys,
I need to read that actually. I have it.
It's
on my. I almost read it for this episode.
Valia.
I should have read it.
I'll read Polaris Rising because you mentioned that to me, and you read Project Hail Mary.
Okay, perfect.
And they're like, and I feel like Project Hail Mary is a little closer to Becky Chambers' sci-fi, like A Long Way to the Angry Planet, yada yada. So it's more like happy sci-fi, like hope punk, Like you're not in it for the blood and gore. Okay. But you're in it and it's just a feel good sci-fi, but there's also like some danger, but not like, oh my gosh, the Martian.
It still has
he could
stakes.
literally die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you read that.
Perfect.
So I guess that was The Martian. But These Broken Stars, beautiful. The covers are just stunning. Like if you are into the flowy dresses and the stars and everything. But I first read this trilogy as it was coming out. And the first book is basically the fancy socialite, like snotty rich girl and the military guy basically crash land on a planet and they have to survive. And try to like get home.
And if you have ever read Persuasion, it's a Persuasion retelling.
Which I did not know that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna just like hijack this really fast.
This.
Persuasion is my favorite book, okay? And I have a really hard time finding good Persuasion retellings because nobody ever retells Persuasion, right? Like it's one of those like Jane Austen's that's like there's like 3 retellings and that's it. But this one I remember that like they made a big deal about it, that it was, unless I am confusing this with another book. Dang it. I think I'm confusing it with another book.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't know it was a Persuasion retelling.
You know what? Never mind.
Okay,
I am
take
wrong.
it back. Take it back.
Take it back. Okay. Continue. Sorry, but I love the books. Okay? I really do.
It's really good. It was one. I'm not a huge romance person. I don't usually read books for romance, but I really liked this romance. It was kind of a enemies to lovers type thing. One campfire and scary things out in the foreign planet, and you need to snuggle together for warmth. And like, it totally made me cry. It's one of the, I've only probably sobbed maybe 5 or 6 books in my lifetime, and this was one of them.
Wow.
It hit me in the feels. I don't know what was going on that day, but I completely lost it. So, and I was mad. Like, I almost didn't finish reading the book, but that happened to me with The Count of Monte Cristo, and I thought the ending was one thing my whole life until someone told me in college it was another, and I was like, oh, this totally changes my, like, thoughts on everything. So I made myself finish the book, and then I was really glad I did, because, yes. I stopped crying at the end.
Okay, so I have read it, and I do love it so hard. And I only read the first 2. So, like, I read that one and the second one. So I still need to read the third one. But just so everybody knows, I am wrong, okay? I admit it. I did get it confused because the persuasion retelling that I'm thinking about is For Darkness Shows the Stars. And
I don't know that one. I should write that one down. Okay, I'm writing it down.
That one I loved. And they had very similar covers, and they came out around the same time.
Okay.
So this is why I had it confused. My bad. But anyway,
this
book made Abby cry.
It did. Ooh, I'm going to throw one more in there. Okay,
yeah, do it.
So also Invictus by Ryan, I think you pronounce her name, Graudin.
Yes.
Like Graudin. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for like a time travel-y sci-fi but a standalone, this is it. I thought she just did a fabulous job making an epic sci-fi story that feels epic and stakey, and things are at stake and time blows up, blah, 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 blah. Like, but in one book, so you can sit down and binge it and like get the entire thing in one sitting. Yeah, read Invictus. It was really good.
It's funny you say that. So I was thinking about like what to read for this, right? Or, you know, what to talk about. And, okay, I talked about this book on, I think it was an Enemies to Lovers podcast or a standalone fantasy romance or something like that. But I realized that For Darkness Shows the Stars, I think that's the stars between, oh my gosh, no, For Stars Between Us. You know what? All of these stars and all of these pretty covers. Anyway, it just came out, okay? And I read it. Actually as an audiobook, as an ARC, and that one has a lot of the like OG 2010s sci-fi romance like aspects to it, but it just came out like in August, I think, of this year.
So like early 2010s YA sci-fi. That's awesome.
Yeah, which is like when I read sci-fi a lot. Like I used to read, it was very like between two things. It was either like hardcore sci-fi where there's like nothing but just like science fiction.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, or it was like super 2010s YA sci-fi romance, because that was like a big time for that genre. I remember,
think
like,
it was
all
like
the
only
books.
Yes that was my era, guys. That was my era. Ooh, can I throw in some more books? I want to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is the Abby fangirls about sci-fi.
Yeah, just enjoy it, you guys.
Yeah, just go with it. Okay, so for more like YA but funky YA, how can you not talk about the Illuminate trilogy? With, again, Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Oh, guys, it's so awesome. It's not a traditional storytelling style. So they use documents and transcripts and data and, like, notes. So it's like this immersive book experience. And so you're kind of figuring out the story as you go along. But, oh, my gosh, it's so good. You have to read it in paperback or, like, hardcover. You just have to do that. And there's like posters and lists of the dead, and guys, there's like dead people in it, so it's like, yes, it's like there's stakes and it's in space and it's awesome. So that trilogy for sure. And then what was the other one? It was like a hard sci-fi. Crap, I'm blanking on it. But The Expanse. How can you not talk about The Expanse, guys? Okay, first off, the TV show is amazing, and they do a great job sticking to the books.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. They did a really great job.
Interesting. I haven't read the books. They've been on my TBR, but I did watch the first 3 seasons, I think, of The Expanse. So I do have to like catch up and finish it because I know they're done. But I freaking love that show so hard. It got my dad into it.
So good. Yeah, I got my parents into it, and I was like, yes, like they're watching something. It's a little much for my mom, but my dad was like totally into it. But yeah, the books are great. There's 9 books. And they stopped the show where it is because there's a pretty big like time jumpy thingy. So it was a good place to stop it. But the books are great and they're harder sci-fi. So it's theoretically all the stuff and the ships and stuff can work.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very plotty but also very sci-fi, but not like I need a dictionary and I need to sit and think about this.
Yeah.
To figure out which I love those types of books. I just have to be in the mood.
Yeah, you really do have to. And the thing, that's what I loved about The Martian when I read that, back when that came out. I was like very standoffish about it, right? Because it's
harder
past
sci-fi.
my it was past my hard sci-fi, and I was like, I'm all like romance and fantasy and all this stuff. I'm like, can I handle this book? But I don't remember who talked about it. I don't know if it was like Pierce Brown or somebody like that.
Oh yeah,
and they
he
were
would.
Like,
probably.
Yeah, he would probably talk about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like somebody like said it to my face and were like, you need to read this book. And I was like, okay. And so I picked it up and I read it in like one sitting. And I loved just how like approachable the science was.
Yes.
And it's like, it's like
funny.
hard.
It's funny.
And you can like see him do this stuff. It wasn't like it was legit and it was smart. Like it wasn't, there weren't people, I'm sure there's always people that are sitting there and they're like, this is not how science works. Like I remember when I talk about my book, there's a part where somebody was like, that's not how science works. Like she couldn't do, research. And I'm like, well, it's fantasy. Like that's the whole point. But with The Martians, like you could feel it that it was like realistic. So and approachable enough for like anybody to understand.
Oh yeah,
so it was fun.
Like with Pierce Brown stuff, because his like sci-fi, Red Rising, all those books, it's very much like a harder science fantasy. Like it's like if Star Wars had a baby with The Expanse. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably pretty accurate.
That is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Yeah, but then like The Martian. I know how to fertilize Martian soil now. I know how to like use my own poop and fertilize things and grow things. Like I learned something from this, but it like is fun about it. So
yeah, but it's fun about it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Joanna, you gotta have to talk.
I could talk like all day.
I'm just sitting back watching you two go back and forth. This is great.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I've mentioned it before, but my dad has all the Hugo winners, like every single one of them since they started. And so sci-fi was my like go-to for a long time. Like now it's more fantasy. Oh yeah, but I read a ton of sci-fi because if I ever needed a good book, my dad would like tell me about all of the sci-fi books on his shelf that he loves, like like Ringworld and Spin and like my favorite book when I was a kid was Ender's Game.
Okay. Yeah.
Love that one. But the one I was going to talk about today is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. I think I might have mentioned it on the podcast.
It's been so long.
I love
it's
it
fine.
so much. But it's about these 2 characters, Thane Kyrell and Sienna Ray, and it's in the Star Wars universe.
I thought her stuff was.
Yeah, her stuff's in the. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So love this book because they grew up together on a planet. I'm gonna not say this right, but like Jellucan.
Sure.
Anyway,
it's that when you read. Or it's like when you read and you see it and you're like, blah, 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 blah. It's the J planet.
Exactly.
J blah, blah,
Yeah. Exactly. So they grew up together. They're like best friends. And they both love to fly. And it was their dream to like become part of the Empire. And the story starts before A New Hope.
That's the original trilogy.
Yes. Yeah. It starts before that. So they grow up. And they both enter the Empire as, like, officers or whatever. And the whole story, like, it kind of goes through the whole, like, the original trilogy. Like you can see bits and
Oh,
pieces
so you
of
can
it.
see the events.
Yeah, that are actually
that's
like in the
awesome.
movies, which are so cool. Like there's one scene where they're on Hoth, and you know that Luke Skywalker is out there dealing with the ats or
The
they-
Ewok things?
No,
Or
no,
am I
no.
thinking of
The
it right?
the walker.
Oh, yeah, the machine
Yeah.
thingies. Yeah.
Yes, those. Anyway, so it's a story where one of them can kind of see like the evilness of the Empire, and so he kind of like goes off and joins the rebellion. But they're still like best friends, and they fall in love. And
Oh.
what I love about it is you can see the reasoning for both of them of why they're on the side they're on.
Okay.
Like you can see why she's still with the Empire, and you can see why he's with the rebellion, and it's
Got
just this
it.
like epic forbidden love story that's just so great. I love it.
So, okay, what was the first one called? Falling Stars or
It's called
The Lost Stars?
Lost Stars, and it's
Lost
a standalone.
Stars.
It's a standalone.
Oh, so what about her, like, Defy the Stars? I think that's her, too.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Okay,
don't
so
think
that
I
must
read
be...
that
But I don't
Yeah,
think...
so this one's a standalone.
Yeah,
Oh,
so they
okay.
have a bunch of like Star Wars standalone that
Yeah.
like big name authors came in and wrote. So
And she's done a bunch of them.
she's
Okay,
done,
I bet-
she's done
She's
a
done
few.
a bunch of them.
But
I
I,
bet
think
that's
they're
what
all
Defy the Stars
standalone.
is. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're all standalone from different for different people. So I don't think like it's ever like a series of
Yeah.
Got it. Because
Yeah,
I
so you
actually
can read this
have
just in
Defy the
one-
Stars,
Okay.
but I never read it. But then I realized, oh, that might be like Star Wars related. But I thought it was like a series. Okay, now I get
No,
it.
so
Now I
Lost
get it.
Stars is a standalone, and it starts before New Hope and it ends after Return of the Jedi. So
Okay.
all of the events that happen in all of those movies, you can kind of see where they're happening,
Mhm.
and then it ends after.
That's cool. It's like a layer on top of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's like so many things that are going on that you're like, oh, well, Han's over there, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And they like Leia is in one of the first few scenes. Like they know who she is because she's, you know,
A princess.
princess. Exactly. So yeah.
That's really cute. I just looked up Defy the Stars, and I don't think it has anything to do with Star Wars, but it is a
Oh, really?
like a sci-fi series, where the girl is a soldier and he's a machine.
Okay.
Apparently,
Okay.
it's right there in the blurb. So I'm not.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
That's usually something you like
Yeah,
discover as a plot twist, but it's right there. So
Oh well.
anyway, that's really funny. There's been a lot of Star Wars-y things, like all these side stories. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Disney has been like
Yeah.
really working
Yeah.
that, and yeah, they've been putting out a lot of books with that too. It's kind of fun. I don't know. I think it's like it's smart writing when you can take a story that's been established over like generations at this point, right?
Yeah.
And like still bring it in to make it, because I mean there's probably teenagers who like have never seen Star Wars, right? Because there's people who like will
There's
religiously not
adults
watch
that
stuff.
haven't seen Star Wars.
Exactly. But they can take this book, right, as a standalone and still
Yeah.
like experience the world
Yeah.
and be like, oh, now I understand the reference to this person, Leah, right?
Yeah.
Or Leia, you know? Like, I can understand a reference to her now because she's a princess in this world. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's like, I don't know if I could do that as a writer. Like, I feel like I would have such a hard time being like true to the story enough, but then make it different, which is, I guess, what we do in retellings. But in this one, like, you're actually setting a new story in an established world that you didn't create, that somebody else created. I don't know. It just kind of blows my
Star
mind
Wars
as a
is
writer.
pretty big. Like they've got plenty of space.
Yeah.
To tell a story is, you
That's
know?
a good pun.
It was very cute. It's true. It's true. Yeah. I don't know. I need to read that. I like
You
Claudia
should read it.
Gray.
It's
yeah, I
good.
like her writing, so maybe I'll give it a try. I'm very much into standalones right now, so
Ah.
you know.
But
it
it was this book and The Maze Runner the last movie,
Okay.
where they're just like on opposite sides, and you can see like why, but they just love each other and they can't be. I just love that.
The angst, the tension.
Angst. I love
it. I love it. I love it. So my book also has romance in it because it's, I mean, obviously, but it's Across the Universe by Beth Revis, and this is an older book. It came out in 2011, I think. It was her debut, and I just adore Beth so much, and I loved this book, right? I read it when it first came out because Beth and I actually became friends, I think, before her book came out. And I remember her like talking me through my writing depression. Because I was like really struggling. Like I was like, do I want to find an agent? Like, do I want to do it myself? Like I just didn't know, right? And she told me, she's like, it took her 10 years to get this book published, and it was worth it. And I just like remember having these conversations with her about it, and she's like, I don't know, she's just adorable, and I love her so much. But anyway,
she's doing a lot of indie stuff now, I think.
She is. Yeah,
like her Blood and Feathers,
like,
yeah, I think she had a little lull like the mid 2010s or whatever, and then she's like really been cranking stuff out. It's really been cool to watch.
Yeah, she's smart in her writing and smart in her business. So I love to see it, but this book, let's talk about it for a second. So I remember reading it, and it was one of those things that was kind of fresh and new at the time. Like I think this was like really prime time for dystopia at that time, but this was dystopian space. Like this was
extra
different.
Cool.
Yeah. And so if you guys don't know this story, the gist of it is that it's a dual POV. It's about a girl who is traveling on this ship, and she's like in cryo sleep because it's like takes 300 or 500 years. I think it's 300 years to get to this new planet where they're going to like reestablish humanity. And so there is a crew that has been born and raised and keeps like,
populating the ship.
Thank you. That is like basically taking these people in cryo sleep, whatever. So we follow Amy, who is one of the girls that her parents are, I think, like scientists or something like that. So
yeah, they're in cryo sleep.
So they're all in cryo sleep, and then there's Elder, who is the next guy who's gonna take over as the captain, whatever, of the ship. And so he's like learning how to be eldest, and he's the one that was like born and raised on the ship and looks like every other person on the ship because it's been years and years, and it's like generations at this point of them living on the ship. So that's like the gist of the story. And what happens is that Amy wakes up and nearly dies in her cryo sleep. So now they're like, I don't know, 70 years or something like that before they reach this planet. And so she's like, I want to go back to sleep, and they're like, you can't go back to sleep because your thing is broken. And so now she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be old or dead by the time my parents wake up. And so if you guys think this sounds familiar, The Passenger has nothing to do with this. This book came out way before then.
The Passenger stole this idea.
The Passenger 100% stole this idea, because I remember when The Passenger was coming out, everybody's like, oh my goodness, Beth, your book was made into a movie. And she's like, yeah, no, I have nothing to do with that. But anyway, so I really, really enjoyed it. It has like murder mystery and has like it has a lot of sci-fi. It's not like, it doesn't skip over the sci-fi part, like the science of it. Not all of the science is true, but I feel like you have to not have science true if you want to make some things work for you. Yeah. Also, you're in space, traveling to a new planet. Like, okay. Suspend your belief here, people.
Haven't quite made that science yet.
yeah. Like, calm down. But I just really enjoyed her writing. It was very fast paced. It was really just one of those things that like once you got in, you like read the whole thing. And I loved the dual point of view. I feel like I didn't read a lot of sci-fi that had dual POV at that time.
Yeah, no.
And so it was like everything about this book was fresh at the time. And even so, after all these years, I just still really enjoy like the story itself and the murder mystery that like kind of goes into it, because people, try to start like dying on the ship, and you find out all these like plot twists and all these things, and you're just like, okay, cool, like this is like a full-on story, you know. And I love that about it. And the whole trilogy obviously is out because it's been like 10 years, but it's good. You should read it.
Yeah, it's cool too to see the plot twists with each recurrent book in the series, like how she takes an idea that was set in the first book and then twists it, and then the second book, and then twists it again, and then it's the third book. So it's just even when you finish the book, there's still twists to come, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's smart writing. She definitely smart. I also really, this is like a side note, but I remember getting the hardcover for Across the Universe, and if you take the dust jacket off, the inside of the dust jacket is the ship. So it's like the whole map of the ship.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I love that. That was brilliant. The first time I saw that, and I was like, this is the coolest book ever.
Yeah. Wasn't she also able to actually put that book in space? Like it was on some satellite or something? Yeah.
That was
like,
her.
Yeah, this book literally was in space. They like put it on some satellite, and they have footage of like the satellite arm and the book in space, and like Earth is beyond it. It's like circling the Earth.
Oh, how cool.
It's very cool. Yeah. And just don't believe everything you hear. I get so annoyed when people are like, it's like The Passenger. I'm like, shut up and read it.
Different twists.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why they would say those things, but also like nothing is new, right? In this world, nothing is new under the sun. The whole idea of us writing books and taking these ideas and making them our own, it's the person that tells the story that makes it unique. That's always going to be the case, right? And I just feel like she did a really good job with this idea, and it's better than The Passenger. So there's that.
Less plot holes.
Okay, so before we like dive into what we're reading now, because I am going to ask you that question, prepare yourself. I did not tell you that. But Abby, I want to ask you, you write sci-fi.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing about writing sci-fi?
Ooh, good question. I just like space in general. My sister makes fun of me because in my head, I automatically make something cooler. Like, oh, I love a dog, but dogs in space. Like, that's even cooler. Or like, circuses are fun, but circus in space. Like, that's cooler. Why not?
My gosh.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a cool setting. I like that it's similar to fantasy in that pretty much anything is possible. But I lean a little more science fantasy with my writing. And I just loved that there's a connection to the now. Like, we are actively, and I think The Expanse does this, like, okay, let me back this up. I love that we, like, went to the moon, that we are on we are on a freaking planet, guys. Like, you look outside, and we're on a planet, and I'm looking at another planet. Like, that's Mars. And it's just, like, blows your mind that you're in space going thousands and thousands of light years, and oh my goodness, it's just so cool to think about, and just the limitless possibility of it. That's what I love. And I think fantasies like that, but there's a connection to the real world that makes it even more possible to me. Yeah. And like, yeah, you have science, and okay, you're limited by science, but it's like, are you really limited by science? Because everything, like, I don't know, back in BC times, the idea of a microwave would be magical. Like,
right.
You know, and so all the things that we think are super out there and, oh, that's science can't do that, like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, we just haven't discovered it yet. Like, anything is possible. And just, I love the idea. There could be life. There could be other planets. There could be, like, livable things. There could be whales in space. Like, there could be, like, and just, oh, man, it just makes me excited for possibility. And it makes me excited for the future. And I'm like both a pessimist. Well, okay, not me being a pessimist is like me being a realist. Like, let's be honest. Like, I don't know. I'm not someone who tends to get down about current events just because I tend to look at all of human history and be like, oh, this has happened before. It's just a circle. Like, you know, we've done this. We've had this conversation a zillion times already. Like, this is just ongoing. Like, why are we freaking out? Come on, guys. And I just kind of see it as like, we'll keep having those conversations and keep having them, but then we'll be having them on a space station, or we'll have them on Venus, or we'll have them like with a murder mystery on a ship, like going to a new planet. Like, I don't know. It makes me really invigorated.
Yeah, I love that.
So
I knew this was
so
the perfect
passionate.
question. I know.
I love it.
I love that it's possible. Like, it's actually possible. And
yeah,
like all these fantasy settings, what if they're just fantasy settings on a planet in space?
They could be.
I mean,
you
I feel like
know.
yeah, like that Crescent City, like Sarah J. Maas's books, like those are on a planet, and that's super fantasy, and like that you could argue those are sci-fi, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's
just
a good
saying.
point.
Oh, you're so cute. I love it. I love it so much. Anyway, so obviously you guys could tell Abby had to be here for this conversation. Duh.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I just wish you could see her face, because she's just
My
lights up talking
emotions.
about it, and then she's just like so animated. It's so cute. Okay, anyway, Abby, what are you reading next? What's on your TBR?
Well, now I'm putting on Polaris Rising, Lost Stars, Starship Star, so those ones. But I still am working through a bunch that I got from the library recently. I like, you know how when you put things on hold and then all of a sudden 20 books coming at once?
Yeah.
You're like, oh shoot, like I gotta do all this. So I am currently reading Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young.
Okay.
So I've been like, it's really atmospheric so far, like the first couple chapters in, and I'm liking that. And then I'm about to start reading Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So yeah, I'm gonna read that. So those two are like currently on my desk book thing that I'm actively reading.
Perfect. Joanna, what are you reading next?
I'm going to reread Hush Hush, because that's one of the
Ooh.
books I picked up on my birthday. I love that series.
I do too.
I just need to reread for a minute.
Yeah. Those angel books, man. I miss those sometimes. They're so bingy.
They are.
They were just like the OG angst. I love it. So I am in a holiday romance mood, apparently. You guys, I have surprised myself. I have like 7 hockey books to read, and my brain was just like, no, let's not do hockey right now. And I was like, excuse me. What? So yesterday I read In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. Yeah, the whole book. I read it yesterday. And I just started the Love Light. Oh my gosh, the Love Light something. I will tell you in a second. Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. And I've seen these books around. They have like really cute cartoonish but really muted tones. Covers, so they're like very different from like what I'm used to, but they're standalone and they're holiday romance, and the first one is like a friends to lovers fake dating thing, and I'm like, okay
yeah.
I'm here for it. So I just started that, and I read like, I don't know, 20% of it last night, and it was really cute, so hopefully I can finish it and then maybe read Andy Weir's book.
Yes, Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, so that is our conversation today. Thank you for being here, for joining us, and Abby, as she fangirls over sci-fi. And before you go, please give us a star rating or review, and then follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Also follow us on Instagram at Reading Queens Pod, and on Facebook under the same handle. And I always forget something when I do these outros, but it is what it is. Okay, be back next Wednesday. We'll have a new episode. It's probably, I think it's our last one until the new year, because we're taking a little break, you know, holidays, Christmas, family time, all that stuff. But there will be a new episode next week, and then a little break, but be here, because this is a good podcast and you should tell everybody to listen to it. And your holidays, when you see your family, tell them to listen to our podcast.
Holidays in space.
That's all. In space.
In space.
Anyway, goodbye.
Bye.